Mr. Tirico, one of the things you provided us with was the new receipt from the mechanic that you eventually took your bike to.
Yes.
The most expensive thing on the invoice from Mr. Karapetian is the flywheels. You did not have to purchase new flywheels, correct?
No.
You were able to use what he purchased?
Yes, but he didn't return the old flywheel. So I really don't know if it needed to be replaced.
So they were supposed to return the old parts, but they didn't. But you had new flywheels. They're now in the bike, and they work.
Yes.
So let's go ahead to the fuel. You are seeking almost $3,000 in fuel from the defendant. How on earth?
Over the process that I didn't have my bike was the primary source of commute to work.
Okay.
So I had to be using my truck. For 2 years, I accumulated over $6,000 in gas. I'm not trying to recoup $6,000 in gas.
Of course not.
So I came up with the number, what was it, 2,800?
Right. So where do you work?
Long Beach. It's a 64-mile commute back and forth.
You're in Glendale, is that
Yes.
right? And the shop is in Whittier?
Yes.
He's nowhere close to you?
No.
Why did you go all the way to Whittier from Glendale?
A friend of mine referred me to the shop, and
you'd had success with him?
yes.
So you were driving like 30 miles, minimum,
Yes.
just to go to his shop?
That's correct.
And you also have a commute to work that is extraordinarily long. Is that right?
32 miles one way.
So you are saying that what you tried to do was calculate the difference between the motorcycle fuel costs and the truck fuel costs.
Right.
He told you off the bat he didn't have time for your bike right away, right?
Yes.
You essentially pushed him to please take a deposit to order the parts.
Yes.
When he said, finally, bring your motorcycle in July, he told you still he didn't have time for it.
No. When he asked me to bring in the bike, it was because he was going to work on it.
All right, you claim that that's not true.
Well, I didn't talk to him till after July, so there's no way I could have told him that I was going to work on it.
Right, because Mr. Tirico, this is your complaint. He agreed to let me bring my motorcycle in that day. They were still unable to do any work for a month because they were busy. You're saying that he didn't tell you in advance.
No, I had already given them the $2,500 deposit. I had to keep calling every 2 weeks for the progress on the bike.
Mr. Karapetian, I mean, I understand a few months delay, but we're talking, and forgetting about the eviction, we're still talking about a 7-month delay with virtually no work done.
Sure. Well, that's not necessarily true. We did do work. We took the whole motor apart. We found out what was wrong with it. And that's when I called him and told him we need to at least get these parts going so we can start building the motor together.
Okay, and by the way, that ended up being correct, right? Because the new shop found the same problem.
Yes, but with the flywheel, being that he didn't have a flywheel.
Right.
So how do you know the flywheel was no good?
Hold on.
You didn't have it.
What I'm asking is, he told you there are issues beyond this leak, and the new shop agreed that there were issues beyond the leak.
No, he was just putting the motor back together.
So you're saying that all of the work done by the new shop was just putting the motor back together?
Yes.
This is an extraordinary amount of work, $7,800, just to reinstall the motor.
No, I mean, there's other parts here that he did need.
Did you tell him?
I don't know why he needed new oxygen sensors. They were in the pipes. We don't take those out.
These are a lot of new parts, right?
Yeah, check valve for the fuel tank.
I mean, there's $1,700 worth of labor on this bill, like including installing the new flywheel. So what you're saying is you don't know if it needed a new flywheel. Can you prove to us that it didn't need a new flywheel?
No, because I don't have the old flywheel.
I understand that. But you have no proof that it didn't need one.
No.
I have what I need.
All right, anything further?
I'm good.
All right, we'll excuse the parties while we deliberate in this matter. We've reached a verdict. It is unanimous. Then the first issue that we had to decide was whether or not the defendant was liable at all for the new repairs, given the testimony that we heard. In searching through the evidence, we found that the defendant conceded that possibly he did not return to you the battery, which you had to pay for, a new battery, and parts, nuts and bolts. And that came to approximately $600 based upon the invoice that you gave to us. In addition, the defendant conceded that he attributed $1,000 to labor when he first spoke to you, and that he actually performed $800 worth of labor in dismantling the motorcycle. So he would owe you an additional $200 with respect to that. So that would bring it to $800. But we couldn't find any other basis to hold the defendant liable for the full amount of what this other company charged you. We didn't find it his fault that he couldn't do the work for you under the circumstances. And there was also no evidence that clearly linked the defendant to damaging the parts that you talked about, like the flywheel parts. So under the circumstances, our verdict is in your favor. but it is for $800, and that's the verdict of the court.